What is going on, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Today we've got 10.6 update notes. Let's just jump right in. This is a brand new season. Everything is switching up. New skins: Alpha Pack Fenrir, Spicy Ra, Men Ra, Angel of Chaos Cthulhu. That skin could be dope. Hot Rod Racer Soul, National Treasure Uller. Damn, he's hot. Little Charmer Cupid. This is a recolor of another skin. Demonic Blade King Arthur, Soul Hammer Vulcan, Shadow Spawn Loki, and Ruby Ravager Chernobog. Welcome to the Colored Forge Prism of Souls event. This is just another event. New battle pass, giving out all these skins, free track items, some QOL. RuneScape capes and dice can now be browsed, PV'd, and equipped from the gods skin section of the game client. Smite will now run on Linux systems. Thanks. Yeah, I don't even know what that means. Bug fixes, don't really care too much. Balance. All right, 10.6. So keep in mind, I've played in this patch now. I've played probably 15 games, maybe 20 games on this patch. So I have an idea of how stuff feels. Soul Surges. When a god dies, a Soul Surge will spawn around them at the point of demise. Soul Surges are circular areas effect that grant movement speed to all gods in the area and a buff to damage dealt to gods with low health in the area. While Soul Surge's active, spirit minions will spawn from the center, attacking any nearby gods and providing XP and gold when slain. And any additional god deaths anywhere on the map cause the area to expand in size and extend in duration. And after the time expires, there's a global Soul Surge cooldown for all players. This has seemed somewhat impactful. This damage that you get when you're low and in that area is insane. It is actually crazy how much you get. They do very, very little damage, but they give you good gold and good XP. So we'll have to play with it a little bit more to see exactly how it feels, but it feels somewhat impactful. These are the rules for it if you're curious about the rules. The buff effect is the movement speed, the damage, the spirits. Big thing. Okay. Shutdown nerfs. Decrease shutdown reward from 200 XP and 50 gold to 150 XP and 35 gold. And the ranked reset. This is like all kind of just together. This isn't really balanced, but we reset to 3000. So just another reset. Another soft reset. Assault. Some assault changes if you guys are curious with their assault. Art update. Conquest in the Underworld. The Conquest map. Okay, so just new art for the Conquest map. Midland is now noticeably wider. This you really feel, and it feels really good too. I like how this feels so far. Blue and red camp pathing has been adjusted for quicker rotations between the camp and nearby lanes. Just farming and getting to your lanes early game and in the mid game is just huge too. A lot faster. So in that little area that a lot of people warded in between mid camps and then the mid lane, there's now this beacon. The beacon spawns at 12 minutes every game. And at 12 minutes, you have to play like a capture the flag style type of thing, or capture point style objective. You have to stand inside of it. The more people you have inside of it, the more things you get on it. I've actually really liked how this feels. This is like a 10 out of 10 design. You have to like fight the enemy off. If you don't fight them off, then they can start taking it over again too. It's kind of like Totem, but instead of like both of you rushing to be on it as long as possible, it's like a bar that just kind of goes back and forth, and you have to sit on it for, I think it said 30 seconds. Still testing all this stuff out, so I don't know the exacts of all of them, but it feels nice. Yep, spawns at 12. Falling capture points open up 6 minutes after the previous capture. Whoever has more players... This usually ends up being about 19 minutes, because you usually don't get it like right away. Like 18:30, maybe 19 minutes. After the Stygian Beacon has been captured 3 times in a match, the Titans will unleash and the beacon will deactivate for the remainder of the match. So the Titans being unleashed basically just means 30 seconds, maybe a minute passes by, and the Titans actually start pushing out of the lane with the most health over the entire lane. So like if you have a tier 1, tier 2, and a Phoenix in duo lane, and they're all full health, and then you have all that in the solo lane, but one of the towers is half health, it will spawn in the one that has the most total health. It's tough to play around. I haven't felt too impacted by it, but I think it's something where if you don't deal with it, it will be very problematic. But I do like that it's something to push. I always think that a way to push with like the trebuchets back in Season 8, it always made the game feel just a little bit better. Order Titan has received an art update, Fire Giant. So this is just kind of just a full revert. Fire Giant is just fully reverted. So The power's back. The only thing that it's changing from season 9 to now on Fire Giant is the healing you get from it. No longer do you get only 3 minutes on fire. You get 4 minutes on fire, and you get 4 minutes on EFG, and then it respawns a minute after your buff runs out. So that's nice. The Titans are down a little bit, and their health scaling is also down a little bit. It's been really hard for teams to end, so this is another good change. Bastions are down to 1200 health, and they have a little bit less protections. You can actually get these a lot earlier. And then the Phoenix is down 400 health. Pyro goes up in gold. Oracles are going up. This is just all neutral farm, and it's all going up in farm. So it's more worth to fight on these neutral camps. Damage camp is going down a tiny bit. Speed camp is going down a tiny bit. Void camp and Cyclops chests are all going down. This is going to be nice. Thank goodness. 1.6 to 1.0. If you have 5 of these, instead of it being 8%, it's only 5% of the gold deficit. It's still probably too high, in my opinion. I think they could have gotten rid of it, in my opinion. But, you know, you do what you can. New glyphs. Relic Dagger now has 2 glyphs. This is basically just Witchblade, and then this gives you, when you activate a relic, your protections are increased by 15%, and you gain the ability to see wards for 10 seconds. 10 out of 10. The worst part about Bewitched Dagger is it gives no protections, so it's something you can't really go... Or sorry, not just Bewitched. Both of these, they give no protections on the base. So it feels very weird to put 2450 gold into an item that's giving you no protections. I think this is mostly, you get the tier 2 or the tier 3 Relic Dagger, and then you sit on it until 5 items, and then maybe you upgrade into one of these, but maybe sometimes you just need the reduced attack speed, or you want the ability to see wards. Runeforged, I haven't used these at all. Flameforged Runeforged Hammer is your next hard CC, is the same thing. Additionally, enemy gods within the rune are burned, dealing 5 plus 10% of your physical from your protections from items and abilities as magical damage every 1 second while inside the rune, and for 3 seconds after leaving it. Actually, kind of crazy amount. This could end up being like 50 damage on the on every tick. And if you sit inside of it for 5 seconds, then you walk outside of it, that's 8 seconds worth of that 50 damage. So it can stack up really quickly. And then Rune Breaking is just going to give you mitigation, or they are doing less damage inside of that. So if you're 1v1ing someone, this is a 20% swing instead of just 10%, which is pretty nice. And the newest, or the last newest of the glyphs, Pridwin, Glorious Pridwin and Reverent Pridwin, probably my favorite changes from the entire patch for items. When your ability has finished casting, I guess that part when your ability is finished casting, you create an explosion dealing 75% of your protections from items and abilities as magical damage, and slowing targets by 25% for 3 seconds in a 30-unit radius. Then you gain a shield equal to 90% of your protections from items and abilities for 5 seconds. When destroyed by timing out or being depleted, you explode again. So Glorious Pridwin is a double explosion, double shield. Now, what's Reverent? When your ultimate ability is finished casting, you gain a shield equal to 200% of your protections from items and abilities for 5 seconds. When destroyed by timing out or being depleted, it explodes in a 30-unit radius, dealing magical damage equal to 75% of your protections from items and abilities. So this one's going to do slightly more damage. This is going to be giving you a lot bigger of a shield if you just want a little bit more survivability. Honestly, cool. This is 2 really cool designs. The downside, again, this is now a 3,000 cost item if you want the full glyph. So it is expensive, but I mean, late game as a value item, Reverent Pridwin is very, very strong for survivability, and Glorious Pridwin is very strong for extra damage. Game-wide item stat reductions. We're not going to go through all these because it's just all these items are getting nerfs. If you guys are curious about the specific ones, you could pause the video and look at it. But it's basically every item is decreased by about 30% power and 10 to 15% on the protections. And it's literally every item in the game. So if you are curious, I'd pause the video. I don't know about builds yet. Still testing everything. I've seen a lot of Aussie built. Devs might be dead. I'll kind of just comment on things as I see it. Thebes is probably one of the best items in the game still. I haven't seen much Golden Blade. Heartward is going to be fine. Yone's got a pretty small nerf. Lotus Sickle doesn't feel too great. Mail Renewal's getting even worse. Mantle's going to be still fine. Pesty is one of the highest magical defense items you can still get. Cloak actually lost a lot because the aura is now only 1 per stack and you lost 50 health. Kin size is really, really bad at the lowest end of health. I'm pausing for this one because this one is a crazy item change. It is now horrible, horrible, horrible on people under 2,000 health, and then it just scales up really, really quickly back up to 6% at 2750 health. So Kin Size is no longer going to be a second item IMO. Rage, Rejuvenating Heart, terrible item. Relic Dagger loses 50 health, which is pretty irrelevant. Some more changes. Sov actually feels pretty good. Spectral still feels good. Binding is still feeling good. Actually got a pretty big buff, or less of a nerf than other items. Starter items are also getting nerfs across the board. All nerfs across the board. If you guys are curious about specific items, ask in the comments and I can answer them. It's just, if I commented on every single one of these, it's like, oh, well, this item doesn't really change because it just lost 20 power, but every item lost 20 power. Oh, this item is now just terrible because it lost its identity, like whatever it is. If you guys have comments, just, yeah, ask below, because there are so many things to comment on. I'd be just mindlessly talking and taking guesses on some items. Shifted items. Now, these items are performing pretty poorly. They're getting buffs along with their nerfs, so kind of shifts. Absolution is actually getting a mana heal, and then the cooldown is going, or the CC immunity duration is going up a tiny bit. Abyssal Stone is losing very few stats, and it's also decreasing the internal cooldown and increasing the buff duration. Amulet of Silence is number of stacks is going down 1, and the cooldown is also down a little bit. Archdruid is getting a cost decrease and an internal cooldown decrease. Cyclopean Ring is giving the max health damage back from 7 to 8. This is a big... I love this item. This item might be like 100%. Just try this item. That's what I'll say. The movement speed and the passive protections is now 10%. Try the item. Frostbound getting a little bit. Gem getting a little bit. Hasten getting a little bit. Both Jotun's glyphs, cool. Manticore has felt really, really well, or really, really good so far. I would recommend trying that too. Midgard felt fine. Guys felt fine. Talisman has actually felt pretty decent too. Talakines feels really good. Ethereal Staff feels really good. Dependent item. These items are just getting slight changes because you need less power or whatever. Rats, Acorns. Some item balances. Bluestone is 50 less gold. Boombas, you're getting slightly more of a heal and slightly more power. This is actually pretty nice for Warflag. You're getting twice as much health per minion assist, which is very, very nice. Wingshar losing 10% movement speed. Massive Mercury nerf. And this is one of the biggest nerfs in the patch, in my opinion, from support's point of view. You're losing 5% power and movement speed on this item, and the duration is going down 2 seconds. Bracer of Illumination is kind of just right on its heels right now as an item. I've always been a big fan of this one. It just kind of got outshined a lot. But maybe it's the Illumination's time to shine. But sorry about that. Pen is back up to 40% and 10% per item. Not going through all these. And now we can start actually talking about the game again, because we're back to a point that actually matters. Aphrodite has lost more movement speed on Kiss as you level it. Pretty nice. Hachiman's 1 is now doing less damage base and less scaling. Good change. Hell's movement speed on her 3 is getting nerfed. She's still going to perma heal her teammates' mana and her health in lane. This does hurt her, actually, I think more in mid than it does in support. But it's still a nerf. Tyr changed stance. He's getting less power and less protections. And then a really big nerf in this patch. Colossal Fury is now down to 4 seconds base and 8 seconds max, which is really, really insane. Because if you don't hit him now, he goes into baby, stomps maybe 4 times, and then he detransforms and you can actually kill him. Yamoja's movement speed on her 3 is down, which is really good. And now some big buffs. Achilles, 5% on the ult. Not that big, but it is relevant. On her is getting base attack speed, and Shifting Sands is up 5% at level 1. Very nice. Apollo Serenade duration is going up 0.3 at all ranks, and the moves are going up 5% movement speed. Artemis, really big. Suppress the Insolent is now an 8-second cooldown with 75% scaling. It's actually crazy. Bacchus Belch is down to 12 seconds. Bastet Ensnaring Claw is now 3 hits on the cat. Chiron is now gaining 0.2 seconds on the immunity from his training exercise. Kleena Phantasmal is now 13 seconds, which is her passive. And the base damage taken while on the wall actually is going down a little bit too. So this is actually really nice for her playing in the wall. Danzaburou, stun duration is going up a little bit. Discordia's Strife going down 2 seconds. Pretty big change. Disco's gotten a lot of buffs recently, so this might be a meta for her. Erlang is getting max HP damage from the dog up 0.25%. The pin duration is 0.2. And the mitigation on the ult is up 10%. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. I'll say it. He's back. ESET, 20% scaling on Wing Gust. This is an insane change. Fafnir now has 60 seconds in the ultimate late game. 60 seconds. It's like overkill at that point, but it's like really relevant in the mid game where if you have 3 points into Faf ult, you have now 40 seconds, which is the same as level 5 Fafnir ult. It doesn't really, I mean, 60 seconds is a lot of time, but a lot of times you're just done after 40 seconds. Like, there's very rarely a time where your ult is relevant past those 40 seconds. So I think the biggest thing is this 10 seconds in the mid game. Geb change. Stone Shield is now 1 second, lasts 1 second longer. Cataclysm is slightly extra damage. Doesn't do anything for Geb IMO. Huyi's ricochet damage is up 5. And then scales up to 25 late game. I don't think that does really anything either. Ichel's Great End. The damage per tick is up 6 and up 0.5% scaling. I think this is actually pretty big for her. It helps her a lot when she's getting DPS'd on and she's trying to out DPS. A nice change for Ichel. Yanis, just getting the magical pen revert. Kukulkan, he's going to be moving. Ellie, here you go. Kukulkan is back, baby. And the worst change in the patch, Kuzumbo. They're buffing Kuzumbo. They're making it so he's returning more damage and he's going to be tankier. An annoying god where they're buffing the parts about him that are annoying, where he's unkillable and he's just doing as much damage to you as you are to him, but he's just got 5k health. Yeah, I don't love it. The non-conquest changes have been removed for Kuzumbo 2. Lancelot, his Camelot's Quest, which is his passive. I think he gets movement speed and basic attacks. Or this is the passive on his 1. Or no, this is his passive. Whatever. It's either his 1's passive or his passive's passive. Whatever. 18% basic attack reduction and movement speed. Piercing Thrust is up 10% total. Loki's Agonizing Visions now lasts 0.5 seconds longer. And Flurry Strikes is doing 1 extra damage at level 1, scaling up to 5 at level 5. Medusa's Viper Shots. I'm pretty sure this... The first time I read this, it looked like a nerf. Increased attack speed. Increased the base damage. Previous total was 180. And the new total is now 120. Are these just backwards? Is this the new total? This has got to be the new total. I don't know. I'm pretty sure this is the new total, and this is the old total, and it's just saying it wrong. Whatever. Mulan gets an irrelevant buff. Poseidon actually is getting some attack speed on his 2, which is going to help him clear a lot more, help him DPS objectives a little bit more. This 15% late game is going to be pretty crazy. Ra getting a bunch of reverts on his Solar Blessing. And this is a pretty big thing. Increase the damage per tick on the target that was initially marked from Raiju to this. There was something else that I read. I guess it's not in the patch notes, but I thought it said decreased damage for every 2 target wasn't a thing anymore, but I guess it's just the first one. So it's not as big as I thought it was. It's 5 base damage. Sure. Robin's passive is now 27%, and Tentad Shadow Fist, which is his root, is now down 2 seconds. Set's dash damage is now 60 to 80 instead of 50 to 70, and the cooldown is down to 11, which is huge. Shiva, this one felt really good. HP5 MP5 buff and HP5 MP5 debuff is up, and Shiva Tandava is down 10 seconds, which is very nice. Winter's Grasp gets an extra 10%, so her ult has 10% extra scaling. Huge. A really big one, mostly for Sobek solo, in my opinion. A second off every ability and 2 seconds off charge prey. Crazy. Undefeated Body up 10%. Tsukuyomi, 5% slow on his Caltrops. Ullr attack speed and physical lifesteal is up in both stances. Massive change for Vulcan, where Infernal Cannon is down 10 or 4 seconds, down to 10 seconds. And then the last two changes, Xing Chen's Root is now relevant. Does this really put him into a position where he's playable? Maybe. We'll see. And Zhong Kui now gets 120 protections while firing his ult if you're fully stacked in your bag. If he's in his bag, he's going to be in his bag, if you know what I'm saying. But that is the patch. If you guys have any specific things to ask about, since this was such a wide patch, ask in the comments below. I'll answer things directly as much as I can because there's just so many things to talk about. It didn't make sense for me to go through literally everything. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you guys again next time. Peace.